Thank you, Senator Merkley. Senator Kennedy's up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Doe, as I understand your testimony, you're saying that at some point climate change is going to cause municipal bonds to default. Is that right?
No, I would say that they will be under pressure just because there'll be increased budgetary concerns.
Well,
So
can they withstand that pressure?
I think so.
Then
Yes.
what's the problem?
Problem is that there might be a higher interest rate if there are issues that aren't addressed by state and local governments, that if because of, let's just say, an anticipation of extreme weather events.
So you're worried
waters-
that interest rates will go up?
Yes.
Okay. I'm looking on your website. You say, my quote, I'm quoting now, contribution to the municipal industry has been extensive as an analyst, strategist, and visionary of the industry's future, close quote. So I want to tap your visionary expertise. At what point do you think climate change is going to cause interest rates on municipal bonds to rise to the point that the interest rates will be prohibitive? When will all this happen?
Well, I'll dust my crystal ball off, but perhaps, I think in 10 to 20 years.
10 to 20 years, okay. What do you think we ought to do about it?
I think we ought to be able to identify where infrastructure is most vulnerable to weather events, and that infrastructure is then, appropriate dollars are used to modernize infrastructure. For example, in the town of Marshfield,
I want to cut you off because I don't have
Sure.
much time. You think we ought to spend money?
wisely and appropriately.
Okay, sure. Well, nobody around here ever stands up and says, I've got a good idea and I don't need to spend money unwisely and inappropriately. You
Correct.
understand that, right?
I do.
Okay. Do you support the world becoming carbon neutral by 2050? Would that solve, do you support that?
I don't think that's a reasonable expectation.
Yeah, but if it were, do you support it?
Doesn't seem like it's a bad thing.
Okay. Do you support the United States becoming carbon neutral by 2050?
This may not be possible.
But do you support it?
If it were the right mix of power and energy in order to provide the electricity that's needed for essential needs.
Well, you do
Yes.
understand that that's the goal of the most ardent proponent.
The Senate hearing room is tense as Senator John Kennedy takes the floor. His questioning style, sharp, direct, and laced with skepticism, immediately sets the tone. Today's topic is a complex one: the intersection of climate change, municipal bonds, and the financial pressures that could loom in the decades ahead. What unfolds is a pointed exchange that tests both the witnesses' expertise and the practicality of proposed climate strategies. Senator Kennedy begins by summarizing the witnesses' testimony. Climate change, at some point, could place municipal bonds under financial pressure. But Kennedy quickly narrows in, can these bonds withstand the pressure? The witness replies, I think so. That prompts the senator to ask, if they can withstand it, then what's the real problem? The answer, potentially higher interest rates driven by market anticipation of extreme weather events. With the groundwork laid, Kennedy seeks specifics. When will this happen? The witness hesitates, noting it's difficult to predict, but offers a range perhaps 10 to 20 years. This opens the door for Kennedy to press further. If that's the case, what should be done? The witness suggests identifying vulnerable infrastructure and investing to modernize it. Kennedy, never one to let vague answers pass, quips that no one in Washington ever proposes spending money unwisely and inappropriately, before pivoting back to the core issue: cost and feasibility. Kennedy then shifts the conversation to carbon neutrality by 2050, a key climate policy goal. He asks if the witness supports it. The response: it may not be reasonable, but if achievable with the right energy mix, it's not a bad thing. Kennedy points out this is the goal of the most ardent climate advocates and presses for a price tag. The witness admits they cannot estimate the cost. It's outside their expertise. This sparks Kennedy's critique. Why start spending without knowing the cost?
Climate change, do you not?
I do understand that.
Okay. How much will that cost?
I couldn't give a figure to that because it's outside my area of expertise on that.
You think we ought to just start spending money without an understanding of how much it's going to cost?
I don't think that's ever wise.
Okay. Well, don't you think we ought to look into how much it's going to cost?
Again, that's around that area. That's not an area of expertise. I'm really focused on addressing the updating of infrastructure for our state and local governments.
You don't seem to have very many solutions. Except what I take away from your testimony is that climate change is going to cause interest rates to rise on municipal bonds, so at some point the cost will become prohibitive, and we need to spend money on infrastructure to stop it. Where do you think this money should come from?
I think state and local governments have the capacity to borrow because the rates are significantly low, and there's an opportunity now to do so and be proactive.
So you think state and local governments ought to borrow the money?
I do. I think they have the capacity to do so.
Just out of curiosity, what kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Jeep Wagoneer.
Is it gas or electric?
It's gas.
Okay. Do you have a gas stove?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have a heat pump?
I do not.
You don't?
I do not.
Oh, okay. How big a house do you live in?
I live in a condominium of 853 square feet.
Okay. I'm over. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sharp divide in climate policy debates. For some, proactive infrastructure spending is an urgent necessity. For others, it's a costly gamble without clear projections. Senator Kennedy's questioning style strips the conversation to its essentials, forcing witnesses to confront timelines, costs, and personal choices. Whether you see this as constructive scrutiny or political theater, one thing is certain: the road to addressing climate change's economic impact will be anything but smooth. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and hit the subscriber button for more political show.